This episode of 50 Shades of Planning is brought to you in partnership with Kratos Group. We are a leading communications consultancy, helping some of the UK's best-known brands deliver local and national campaigns, manage political and reputational risks, and influence national policy on some of the most important issues facing the UK. Find out more at kratos.co.uk.
Hello viewers, Sam Stafford here. Listeners of the 50 Shades of Planning podcast might recall that for episode 6, I published a chat with Euan Mills, then of the Connected Places Catapult, on the potential for digital innovation, urban data, and user-centered design to improve the planning system. Euan, now CEO and co-founder of Blocktype, got in touch with me earlier this year and asked if he could put together an episode on the progress that has been made over the past 5 years towards this aim. The episode that Euan put together, which was number 127 of the podcast, features 4 conversations that he recorded back in March with 4 people, both very knowledgeable and very active in this space. This video features Euan's conversation with Matt Wood-Hill, Head of Digital Planning Software at MHCLG. Enjoy.
So now we're going to speak to Matt. Matt, you're Head of Digital Planning Software at the Department for Levelling Up. Can you tell us what that means?
Yeah, thanks, Euan, and thanks for speaking to me. So I work at DLUC in the digital planning program. We've got a digital planning program that has been going since 2021, and really the aim of the entire program is to look at how we can use technology and data to make planning fit for the 21st century. What that means in practice is looking at where there are different aspects of intervention around faster decision making related to planning, better citizen engagement, better and faster local plan making, and then underneath all of that, how we're leveraging really the opportunities that data provides for us to improve planning, not just for the future, but even right now in the present.
So tell us about specifically kind of your role, kind of Head of Digital Planning Software. What does that mean? And you've also been working on this thing called Open Digital Planning. Can you talk us through that, please?
Sure, yeah. So my role is really working on the development management side of things, and it's all about looking at how we can improve the technology market for services in that area, whether that's submission services, back office services used by planning authorities, and other kind of tangential things that you can imagine related to how people consult on planning applications and that kind of thing. The way that we work, I think, is pretty interesting for a central government department. We're looking to work really closely with industry as much as we can, and specifically with the demand side of the market, so local planning authorities. Now, one of the ways that we do that is we provide funding for local authorities to lead projects themselves to improve the services that they've got by working with existing providers, or in some cases to come together to collaboratively design alternative technology that they think could demonstrate how planning services in the future might look. And doing that through... Go on, yeah.
And just to clarify a little bit for the audience, so when you talk about kind of digital planning software on the development management side, this is the stuff that the software that mostly local authorities run, right, to manage their planning applications, but also kind of I guess most of the audience will have used kind of services like the planning portal or things like that to submit planning applications. So that's what you mean by planning software.
Exactly. Yeah, in this context. Yeah. Yeah, and so the way that we're doing that, as I say, is through local authorities, but increasingly we're helping to convene different representatives from local authorities together through a community called Open Digital Planning. And that's a community that's really aiming to reshape what technology looks like from the buyer's perspective, to have a stronger take on how local authorities can work in a more open and collaborative way with each other, to share knowledge and actually also often have a lot of the same pain points and problems. So share a lot of their insights with each other.
So you're bringing local authorities together to kind of organize amongst themselves to be able to be better technology buyers, I think, in essence. Is that it?
Yeah, it's not just buyers, though. I think it's even designers, like really recognizing that the people that work in the coalface of planning are the people best placed to inform how planning services should look. So I know that you're familiar with some of these things. So some of the things coming out of the government digital service over the last decade have really focused on user needs being at the heart of digital services. So that means that whatever technology is out there, it needs to really start by serving the needs of its users. And where better place to start than planning officers, who are the closest to people putting in planning applications, and obviously the people on the kind of receiving end processing those applications themselves.
And so how long has all this stuff been going for? I mean, and how big is this community, this open digital planning community?
Yeah, so I think it started to formalize really over the last year to 18 months, because we actually started off as a project team and then quickly found that people were coming together and getting a lot of value out of the conversations, and other people wanted to be part of those. So we're currently working with, we've been working with 28 local authorities over the last year, but as of March 2024, we're expanding that out to 70 plus. We've also got colleagues who are working in another part of the program with PropTech providers and local authorities, and encouraging them to work together better. And there's a further group there that are doing more work together in the near future.
I mean, that's a huge kind of proportion of local authorities, right? I mean, at this rate of scaling, you'll be soon be covering all 340 odd authorities in the country.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Can you imagine if everyone were really able to come together and like really collaboratively share knowledge, get out of their silos and find out what else is going on in the industry? It'd be brilliant.
And what are some of the outputs or outcomes that you've seen so far in the last few years of kind of this community? What have local authorities been doing with the time and money?
Yeah, so I mean, the most significant outcomes that some people might be familiar with are the delivery of alternative software, products called PlanX and BOPS. PlanX, which is a forms builder service that can be used to submit planning applications, as well as other great things, and BOPS, which is back office planning system. That's a case management tool for planning applications. And on the surface, that might be what people see from the outside, if anyone has been following it. There's actually a lot more that's been going on underneath the surface. For example, there are projects for councils who have been working closely with existing providers to improve software that's already out there on the market, which is a really important part of this. We're not there building a different ecosystem. We're improving, or we're hoping to provide funding that improves the entire market. But one of the kind of unexpected consequences of all of this is, as councils have onboarded to their projects and kind of got up to speed, they've hit different roadblocks, and those that might be things linked to skills, capacity, access to their own data. Probably many listeners have heard stories of the kind of black book of Article 4 directions that need to be digitized and things like that. So it's giving us really good insights into some of the areas that need specific support for improvement in the industry at the minute.
I guess, I mean, to most people, you'd never think that the local authorities are where a lot of innovation technology would actually kind of be happening, right? But I guess what you're describing is a very much a local authority-led kind of movement to a certain extent. But I mean, kind of, don't local authorities, local planning authorities in particular, aren't they too busy planning? How can they actually like what are they actually doing? Kind of how can they create kind of the type of things that you describe?
I mean, it's a really good question. I think we all know the challenges that currently development management teams in particular are experiencing. Part of our funding is actually to unlock some of that time. So it's to backfill people's time so they can take part in project activities. I think the motivation for them behind taking part in these things is, well, number one, they're in the box seat. They're the best placed people to inform these things, and they have that seat at the table to do it. And we're looking at what some of the impacts of these things might be in the future. So we're seeing through the technology that's being developed by councils, time savings of up to 30% on planning application processing, which is great. But I think more than that, there's a lot of kind of upskilling, personal development that's going on at individuals that are part of it, and a bit of rethinking in some of the planning teams that are part of this work in terms of what would this new technology or what would these new data practices mean for me in my council in the future? And how does that mean that we can approach some of our more routine tasks? Because one of the big opportunities is reducing down the admin burden massively through better automation and better service design.
So I guess kind of this investment in digital now, you're starting to see how this will actually kind of provide savings and help these the local planning authorities to deliver better services in the future. So it might seem that I guess it's hard, right? If you're in a local authority, you're you're too busy doing the work, then you don't have time to think about how you do the work. And I guess you guys are creating this space for them to do this.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most powerful things, actually. Definitely.
What about skills, Matt? Talk about kind of what skills local authorities need, and how are they finding these skills, right? Because I guess, I mean, most local authorities, particularly the planning departments, they might have a GIS person, but they tend not to have many kind of be as digitally literate as maybe kind of they need.
Yeah, there's a few things I would say are emerging, and this is where it's brilliant doing practical projects, funding practical projects and seeing what learnings come out of them. So, for example, one thing is data is going to be everyone's responsibility, because once you're using data in services in a really interesting way where there's a reliance on it, it needs to be up to date for it to be accurate, and obviously to avoid potential kind of liabilities in the future. Another area that's emerged as something that's really interesting is, I think, planning profession loves writing, but writing for the internet and for internet audiences is a slightly different skill, whether that's doing kind of targeted advertising on social media for kind of citizen engagement campaigns, or whether that's how we're presenting planning information to members of the public. That's been an area that I've seen, and it's what's called content design as a really interesting opportunity that some councils have been leaning into specifically.
And I guess historically, I mean, the planners have been the local authority planners have been stuck with whatever systems kind of they were given, right? So they never had the chance to reinvent and to kind of start from scratch in a way. And I guess these projects, kind of Plan X projects and BOPs, is giving local authorities, I guess, empowering them to think, well, actually, there is potentially a better world. There's a different way of doing it.
It's an amazing opportunity, I would say, for councils to dictate how software works for them, rather than a software product, having a strong influence on how people go about their day jobs.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of if people want to find out more, and if local authorities want to be involved with this, I mean, it sounds like you've got a large number of local authorities already kind of as part of this community. Is this it's called Open Digital Planning? Can any local authority kind of join the conversation and start to kind of be part of this? How does that work?
Yeah, as you alluded to before, Euan, wouldn't it be great if every local authority was part of this and had access to the kind of resources and support from the community? And ultimately, that is the goal. At the moment, it's just local authorities funded by DLUC that are part of it, and it needs to go wider. And we've got some great assets and resources that could be more widely shared. So hopefully, towards the end of 2024, we're going to be in a position to open it up to support a lot more local authorities to be part of it. And for people that want to find out a bit more, opendigitalplanning.org is the website, and there's a really great active LinkedIn presence for Open Digital Planning that you'll find there, with loads of news and updates every week.
Mm-hmm. That's great, Matt. And so just tell us, kind of, just to finish off, what is kind of, I mean, what do you envisage kind of seeing, how is the world going to be different in 5 years' time through the work that you guys are doing?
Well, I think the clue's in the name, in Open Digital Planning, right? It's a different approach to technology and data in planning services. So really the big opportunities are looking at where we are as DLUC with the Levelling Up and Regeneration Act and some of the digital powers that we've taken through that, which relate to you've frozen, so we might have to do this one again. Can you hear me?
Sorry, Matt, I lost connection there.
No, no.
You were just saying where we are as DLUC.
I'll start again, right?
Yeah.
So I was saying something like clues in the name. I remember that's how I started.
Yeah, clues in the name, yeah.
Yeah. So clues in the name, really. So Open Digital Planning really is imagining a different future for technology and data and how it's used in planning services. And I think where this marries up really, really neatly with DLUC's ambitions at the moment is how this is going to link in with some of the digital powers that have been taken by the department through the Levelling Up and Regeneration Act, specifically.
And this is the stuff that we've been discussing with Sue Chadwick around the Levelling Up and Regeneration Act.
Right. Yeah. And this is, in this context, related to data standards and to the provision and publishing of planning data. Now, ultimately, the goal there is for this data to move much more seamlessly around different systems that are used by local authorities and others, and for those systems to be able to communicate and integrate with each other in a much more flexible way. So it's no longer the case that clunky technology is going to be behind or partly to blame, let's say, for some of the inefficiencies of the planning system, but it really becomes a massive enabler.
Matt, that's absolutely amazing. It's really exciting work. Really nice to see that this is a local authority kind of driven project, and it's great that government are actually kind of enabling all this. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll speak again soon.
Hello viewers, Sam again. My thanks to Euan and Matt for letting me share that conversation with you. Look out for the other three, which I will share on here as well. They feature conversations between Euan and Alistair Parvin, CEO of Open Systems Lab, Dr. Sue Chadwick, Strategic and Digital Planning Advisor at Pinsent Masons, and Paul Downey, Planning Data Service Owner at MHCLG. Please do keep in mind, viewers, that 50 Shades of Planning is by planners and for planners. And so if you would like to use this channel for sharing anything you think that we need to be talking about, then do please feel free to get in touch with me via samstafford@hotmail.com. My thanks to podcast partners Kratos, and a shout out especially to Luca Di Fato for production support. What have we learnt? Well, town and country planning is very much not a black and white endeavour. There are at least 50 shades in between. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of 50 Shades of Planning, which is brought to you in partnership with Kratos. Kratos are a leading communications consultancy providing integrated strategic communications and campaigns across multiple sectors. We have helped some of the UK's best-known brands deliver local and national campaigns, manage political and reputational risks, and influence national policy on some of the most important issues facing the UK. We are more than an agency, we are change makers. Find out more at kratos.co.uk.